Yo, how's it going, guys? Man, it's been a minute. This is going to be my new, 2026 new A to E conversion walkthrough video. This is my new E-kit. Well, maybe not new anymore, but definitely new to the channel in general. Converted out of a Pearl Session Studio Classic. And the story behind this, and the reason why I switched, man, that my last kit, the red sparkle, pretty much like a Pearl export converted kit, was, man, that thing looked great under the lights. But what happened is I got this kit brand freaking new, this, and I got it as a 7-piece, which I have the other tom over here. I'll show you that later. But I got it as a 7-piece, and I got it for a gigging kit, like right before COVID, you know what I mean? And at that time, I didn't really know what was going on, but it was, to do gigs with, and it sat on my shelves in the studio, just unused for like a year and a half, maybe close to 2 years. And I was just like, oh my God, you know what I mean? And I had my red kit, and that was so cool, but I freaking would walk past this kit daily, and I just, man, I would just look at this. I'm like, I wish I was just playing this, So, and I know it's kind of overkill. I'm like, well, I would never do, if I was just starting out doing A to E conversion, well, you guys know what I would do. I wouldn't do this. And I didn't. But, so what ended up happening is I ended up just saying, forget it. I'm just going to do it. You know what I mean? I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to make this into my new kit. And I figured what I'll do is I'll just find the same kit, either used or new, but there wasn't really any new. I wanted to just get a used kit for gigging. I'm like, since I'm going to gig it anyway, I might as well find a used one. And I found like a mint condition, like open box, same drum set to gig with. So that's now on my shelf as well when I actually do gigs now. So I feel, you know what I'm saying? You guys get where I'm going with it. I don't want to be having this kit that is like kind of like my dream kit. I love the way it looks. And it's got the great gold Pearl badges. They don't do that anymore. And I just, it looks so good. But I get to actually gig that one. And then when I'm playing here, it's kind of like, I'm not missing it. You know what I mean? I don't feel like, and I don't know if you guys, if anybody plays guitar as well, I feel a similar wave on my guitars. You know what I mean? Like if I'm playing one, the ones with different finishes and stuff, if I'm playing one, I feel like the other one's not getting played. You know what I mean? So I don't have that anymore with my drums. So that's the reason why I kind of went overkill and converted this kit. So here we are, and I have the 7-piece kit. And what happened is when I got this kit, it came like this, and I ended up custom ordered this 8-inch. I think, what is it? 8x7 tom, also brand new. And I knew it would match because new versus new. And so that worked out. But I ended up waiting, I think, like 10 months for that drum. And by that time, I kind of got used to not having it, which really kind of sucks. And lately, actually, I just put the 12-inch tom back on the kit because lately I've just been running like 1 up, 2 down. You know what I mean? Like a more simplistic setup. And I've been liking that a lot. But you know what I mean? If you guys have drums and you play different setups, I feel like I wish I could have 2 or 3 different drum setups, like a 7-piece, a 1 up, 1 down, a setup like this. I wish I could just have like a drum room, you know what I mean? But that's just always been my thing. That's always been my thing, though. But so anyways, and it works out because when I show you the triggers in a minute, I can just show you that drum for an example. But so in general, again, I don't know. I'm just talking a lot. Yeah, so Session Studio Classic. I think this finish is natural platinum mist, or just maybe it's just platinum mist. But if you look at the finish, I got the lights on it. The wood grain of the kit. The clear coat on it is just, it's sick. It's a beautiful drum set, and that's why I just felt so bad having it on my shelves. And yeah, just keeping it minty, you know what I mean? I never drilled in these triggers. So, all right, so now all the talking and the story is done. Let's get on with this walkthrough. So, if you guys seen my last kind of kit walkthrough, it's a very similar thing because I did transfer a lot of these parts, but I do have, you know, some new things going on. But just starting with the drums and the triggers and stuff, let me just refer over to this. I'll bring this drum over here. So if I'm referring to this drum, this is the 8-inch version, and this is just going to be repeated across the entire kit. So Roland power ply mesh heads. I think these are 2-ply mesh heads. The rim is UFO drums. Some of these I got the actual rim measured for the drums. I think I did with these. And then since this was an add-on, I think I just cut this rim to fit. But this is the UFO drums rim by the foot, I think. I did upgrade these mounts just for looks. But if you know this drum set, it comes with the regular, what is it, black opti mount, like aluminum or something. Or maybe that's the black one, and these are the aluminums. I don't know, but I just had to go all out. I had to have it look the best, you know? And I think these mounts maybe are a little bit lighter too. So acoustically, these will sound better, even though that doesn't matter at all. It's just for looks. But really, I upgraded that. And then the triggers are the old Hellenson ITM2. And I actually have a video on this if you go way back. So that is like pushed up, just barely touching the head. And the same thing is repeated on all these drums. So that's the trigger setup, and that's the head setup. Maybe I'll walk around back here. Sorry, I'm just getting some nice angles because I like that angle. And you can see, so that trigger is on that lug. And the ones that I guess I can't do that anymore. My old kit, I didn't care to drill, so I drilled into it actually. And so I would put the trigger underneath that power ply thing. And this one, I'm not drilling. So you can see the trigger there. So it is what it is. But the triggers function really, really well. And this head on my bass drum is actually the old stock. I should probably change that, huh? It doesn't look too great. It's like gotten a lot of use now. But that is a Roland silent stroke mesh head. And you can see the trigger there. There's my Hellenson trigger. This one is actually a single zone. I think it's called the ITM1. It's a single zone Hellenson trigger. With the bass drum also, the Hellenson ITM1 trigger, you know, is just an internal side mounted trigger. It's a single zone. And the cable has to plug into the trigger on the inside, right? My solution to that is just getting a kick port, and on the front head, where it would just be a hole, you know, so you don't want to see pillows and stuff inside, because this bass drum is just, honestly, as far as my conversion, I just pack it. I just pack the crap out of it with pillows, like 5 or 6 pillows, and that feel is just the best. So that, like when you're actually playing it, man, it's really just the best. Better than any trigger that I've tried so far. And I've tried a few. So I'm really happy with that. But my solution is just like using one of those kick ports, and I just grabbed some gaff tape and taped the tape in reverse, kind of like to itself, so it's like black, but then I taped it to the inside of the kick port, so it just kind of looks black in there. And so that way you don't see a pillow in your drum. It just kind of looks like, you know what I mean, a drum, right? And then I just poked a hole and ran the cable through there. Obviously, you want to make sure that you have a long enough cable to have some slack. You never want to have this thing being pulled out through your trigger. You're going to have to go in, and that would be a big pain. So you want to make sure you have, if you need to get an extension, or you have a long enough cable to go to the module to this trigger, you want to make sure you have a long enough cable. But then I don't know. That's maybe the only eyesore is having that cable hanging out of the front of the drum. But honestly, I've never really noticed it unless I'm looking at it. And I think when it comes to the drums, not having a jack plate on the side of the drum, I almost kind of prefer that, man. And I don't really think having mesh heads on the bottom of the drum is the answer either. I think this is my favorite way to do acoustic conversions, you know, because I think that looks a little bit more sleek. And, you know, I don't want a cable being hanging off the side of my drum. You know what I mean? I think this looks really out of the way and kind of clean, right? All right, so that's it with the bass drum. So the only change out of my actual drums, this head I should probably change too, huh? Oh man, I shouldn't have done this video with that head on there. But this drum is still my Alesis Strike. My Alesis Strike snare drum, and I still like it. It still triggers. It feels so good because inside all those little rods, you can't really see them. But if you look up pictures of, I mean, you'll find bad stuff if you look up Alesis Strike drums. You'll see all the broken triggers, but this one is not broken. This is a newer version. And inside they have like these little rods, foam rods that touch the head in multiple places in the center and around the outside a little bit. And it just makes it feels so good, man. Those strike pads, they felt the best, you know. Once they didn't break, right? Once you got ones that were not breaking. Those old strike pads, man, those felt the best in my opinion. And you know, I'm still an Alesis guy because, well, I'm sure you guys saw this, but I still got my Alesis thing on the rack that came with my Strike. And oh, you know what? I guess now that I talked about the rack, you know, this rack is actually an Alesis Strike rack. This is from my original Alesis Strike kit. And what I did is, when you get, and I think the same thing is when you get the new Strata Alesis kits, the Strata Prime, I think it is. You kind of get like a second expansion box, and you get like almost like an extra rack, you know, extra hardware like that. And literally all I ended up doing is, because I didn't like the rack in the front, the look behind the kit, it didn't feel that great. Just playing it just felt like you're boxed in. You know, people that don't like racks, you know what I mean. But having two racks, like the side rack thing, I feel like it looks even cooler, you know what I mean, than an actual rack. But all I did is just, you know, measured it to what I felt like was usable and small but usable, and just cut it, man. The only thing I ended up actually buying for the rack is the Gibraltar rubber feet, the rubber like the ends, the feet ends, rack feet, and that's it, man. You see, these are my Alesis clamps. So so that's the rack, and it's been great. It's the same one that I've been having on my old kit. What's next? Cymbals? I guess I'll go over cymbals, huh? So cymbal setup, the hi-hat, you know what, let me give me a second. I'm going to take this hi-hat off so you can kind of see. Maybe you might be able to see in here. Can you see in there? I don't know. Can you? Okay, you can kind of, you can get an idea. I'll show you underneath. This bottom cymbal is a Pintech 14-inch practice cymbal, I think. It's a 12 or no, it's a 14-inch practice cymbal. And the top cymbal is a Roland CY14. So that's my two-piece hi-hat going on with the Roland VH11 controller on the bottom. And I'm just telling you right now, it works amazing. It feels amazing, guys. And I've just always been about, you know what I mean? Nothing's wrong with the VH11 with the top cymbal, and then if you want a bottom cymbal, this thing works great. I mean, you know what? Let me take this off so you can see it. I was like borderline not wanting to do that just because I didn't want to have to recalibrate my hi-hat, but it's not too big of a deal. Why am I doing a video if I'm not going to show you everything, right? So I did end up like having to drill in that center part like really wide so it can fit around the VH11 controller, which is wide enough so there's a little bit of wiggle room. Sorry for the focus. And then you guys, if I did this again, I would just get a freaking regular hole saw thing and cut a hole. But I didn't, and because I'm like, who cares? You know what I mean? And I just put these other holes in it just for like air, you know, for when it closes, so it helps it. The felt things on the side, Probably if I would do this again, probably if I did this again, I would get like a some type of foam strip that you can just go all around the actual entire edge. But I didn't have that. I had a bunch of these little felt dots, and that seemed to work all right. Because if you don't have that, um, one, it's a little bit more noisy, but two, I feel like the feel when you close the hat, it's like it has more of a hard feel, and I don't know. I felt like it worked good. And these extra felts are just so when you have this cymbal, it adds some height, and you have to add those felts so it actually hits the bottom of the hi-hat clutch, you know. So and those work really well. So let me put this back together real quick. So that's the hi-hat, and then I have this little I don't know what some kind of lock thing. That's just like a spare part. I don't even know what that is, but I put that on top just for when the clutch loosens, it doesn't actually fall off. And you guys know it's so annoying if you have somebody else playing your kit and that happens, and then they look at you like, what's going on with the hi-hat? You know, I'm like, oh, let me fix it. It won't happen with this. It just loosens and like they retighten, you know what I mean? So that helps a lot. So that's the hi-hat. First crash cymbal here is the Roland CY15R. And what I do with this guy, because it's actually a triple zone cymbal, is I end up I don't know if, can you see there? There it is. So I put a like a headphone adapter in the bell jack, and then you can use these old CY15 triple zone Roland cymbals as two zone, you know. Again, I don't know. You guys probably know that stuff right now. A lot of this stuff is really common knowledge, but that's what I'm doing. These two splashes are a 10-inch ATV. I believe they're ADC10. Is that right? I don't. Do you guys care about the? You guys probably don't even care. It's an ATV 10-inch splash cymbal, 10-inch, and they work great. These I got used. I don't even think you can get ATV cymbals anymore, unfortunately. I don't know what happened to that company. I think they died. I think they died here in the States, man. You can't get any ATV kits anymore. You know, they weren't my favorite anyways, but their cymbals were really great. And actually, I still actually have as spares, the ATV 16-inch cymbals. But the reason why I like these Roland ones, this one specifically, or any of these older models, is the rubber is really soft on the edge. It feels really good to play. Like, and the cymbal motion is a lot closer to an actual cymbal than these newer versions, like this 16-inch. I probably should have cleaned my cymbals too, huh? They look so, whatever. This is the newer 16-inch. I guess I'll tell you, this is the, what is it? The thin version, the 16-inch Roland new ones. And look, see how fast it's almost like a plastic plate, like especially the smaller versions of these, like the VH10 cymbal and any smaller versions. See how like just quick they move? That's the only thing. And this one, see, nice and slow, and it feels super soft. I mean, the Roland cymbals, they do feel really good, but the motion on these newer ones, they just didn't get it down like how ATV got it down. Like, you know, thin is nice, but the weight of the cymbal near the center, most importantly, the edge still needs to be soft and thin, but you want that weight so they move like more natural, like this. So I know it's a little bit thicker. I don't know. I hope you guys know what I'm talking about. This guy is seriously one of my favorites. Anybody that comes to the E-Kit, they look at this thing, I swear, for like almost 30 seconds straight. This is the F Note 20-inch ride, 3-zone ride. And why I used to have the ATV 18-inch ride, and that one, it worked really well. Obviously this one's a little bit bigger, but what I didn't like about that ride was the bell, and it's similar to these. The bell was kind of small. It was smaller on the ride cymbal, and you couldn't really like see it. It was, so you ended up missing the bell a lot more often, and but it triggered well. It felt really good. Man, those ATV cymbals were great. But I think these are very similar. The F notes are kind of like the new ATVs, and what I like about them is this, whatever they did with the it's like a texture type thing they're doing with these cymbals. I mean, anybody that has F note, you know what I'm saying, and it kind of gives it the edge a little bit more of a rounder, more cymbally look, cymbally, and those texture marks. It's almost like a fade and makes the bell really obvious. So you never, even out of your peripheral vision, you know when you're going to hit that bell. And it's also a larger bell. So, and a 20-inch cymbal, it fits. If you're going to do an ATE conversion, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like the hi-hat and the ride are something you should not skimp out on. Whether it's a 20-inch or the 18, I definitely get only don't go ever smaller than an 18. Or you know what? If your pads are so small, like 8-inch pads, at least get a 16-inch ride. Don't even bother, because as soon as you play an actual acoustic kit, the reach and everything, like the movement around, is going to be so off, like what your muscle memory is. You know what I mean? So, but with this, it's literally verbatim. It's a 20-inch ride. So I've been so happy with this thing, and I don't know the model number of this ride cymbal. Okay, it's an F Note 20-inch ride. It's the only one that they make, and I know they have a newer version of this. I don't know if this is a newer version. I hope it is, but if it's not, it works great too. So I'm happy with it. Really happy with it. Like I already said, this is the Roland 16. I think it's CY16T maybe. Honestly, if they made a 16-inch version like this, I'd have that. So this China is my little lemon 16-inch China. I might do a little review video on that guy, but it's a really great China. Everyone who comes in, again, if they're not familiar with E-kits or China or the lemon cymbals, I have tried a lot of other lemons, crashes, and some of the other stuff. Something with the rubber is it's like very bouncy. I'm not a fan of the lemon cymbals in general, because I don't even know what's going on with this rubber. It feels like a rubber band, you know what I mean? And because I tried some lemon splashes as well, and I swear when you hit the lemon splash, it's like your stick goes like shoots off of it, you know what I mean? Same thing with the hi-hat. When I had a lemon hi-hat, it was like so, so crazy bouncy. But as a China, this is the one, man. This is the freaking one. And it triggers right. You can hit it right on on the top of the, on the curve, like an actual China, man. And it chokes really nicely. It's just such a great China. I've liked this one way more than the ATV 17-inch China I used to have. Way more. And since day one, I was like, oh, this is just better. It feels better. I think it looks very China-y. It doesn't like the honestly, even the F Note Chinas, I'm not a big fan of. They look more like Chinese cymbals, like the curve isn't as like true to an actual China, but these ones are. These Chinas rock, man. Definitely always get this China, and it's so affordable. I think it's like, what is it, $80 maybe? $80, something, give or take $10. You know what I mean? You definitely need to get one of these. So I think as far as the drums, what did I miss? Did I miss anything? I'm probably just talking way too much here. Now onto, let me get off this stupid screen. Now onto the big guy, the Pearl Mimic Pro, the module that is maybe discontinued, but I don't think anyone actually knows. It seemed like it was getting discontinued for years, and then it seems like you can, like, it's still listed in the Pro catalog. I don't know, but this module is the best. It's the best in the industry still, in my opinion, because of the samples. The way that it triggers is so unbelievably smooth. The latency with when you're triggering a VST or recording the MIDI and everything like that, the latency is just the best. It's just the best module. Even now, I think used ones are like $1,800. And if you find one for $17, that's a great deal. I think that's I probably got one around 18, and I've just been happy with it. And I used to not be a fan of this module, and if you guys know my channel, I actually had one way back in the day and got rid of it for the Elisa Strike, because though back in the day they did not have the NRG and the SSD samples, and ever since they updated that, I've been I was like, oh man, oh that's all it was missing, because the Deluxe 2 samples that were in there were just, I don't know, not as much my thing. But blended, you know what I mean, blended, or like the Deluxe 2 toms. That's usually what I use, is the Deluxe 2. I think they're the MMC Pearl toms, and those sound super super huge, super fat. Those are great sounding toms, but the actual kick and the snares, those layers, the samples of the energy and the SSD you can blend in are great, and that really is what kind of tipped it over for me. And ever since then, I've been super happy with it. Outside of just, you know what, maybe it's just like a little bit of gas, maybe it's a little bit of gear acquisition syndrome or something like that. That every once in a while I think of, man, how would that 2-box Drummit 5 module be? Well, and only because, okay, like the sounds in here, they're great for like a record. They sit in the mix really well, but they don't, the Steven Slate samples, I don't know, maybe it's just because maybe I've just been using them for so long that they don't really sound like natural, real drums. They just sound like they're processed, and they sound amazing, but they sound very stylized and processed. And that is the Steven Slate sound. But considering when I do, I know I just said I love this module, but now I'm talking about like how things that I'm like just, whatever. I don't know if is that how everyone else is. You guys just think about, maybe I'll change it up one day. Um, but but yeah, I just think, like, when it's coming through the PA at band practice, um, it does sound really good, and I always get great compliments at a rehearsal. But I'm not using those sounds to record, and I do have that set up. I did go that route and actually get, like, I have another snake as well, and I have the DB25 coming out. All the outputs are being in use. You can see it just when you are running it through a PA with these samples, it's just not as natural feeling in out of the PA. And I know now you can import samples. I did import some samples to this. It's just the way that the velocity is, when you're importing samples, it doesn't trigger like through the curve as smoothly, or I should say, getting that velocity dialed in is a huge freaking hassle, in my opinion. And the fact that it doesn't just do, like, when you when you go to import a sample and you put it into the program, the velocity is kind of like a certain way, and when you're actually playing an imported sample at first, it starts to move through that velocity very very quickly, and it's nothing like the way the actual stock samples are. So you have to go back and adjust it and try it again, and go back and adjust it and try it again. I just never felt like, and I've got some Superior Drummer and Easy Drummer samples in here, and some other things that I just, they, none of them feel and trigger as good as the actual stock samples. So I just don't even mess with it, especially because I don't record that audio anyway. So and it's fine. And then, maybe that's just a me thing, but man, it's hard to knock this module, because as much as I talk like that, it's still here, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's still, because everything with it, and I'll tell you, I'll put a little picture up here. As soon as that Alesis Strata Prime drum set came out, you guys know I love Alesis, man. That module sounds incredible, right? And I think the first week that it became available, within the first couple days, guys, I ordered an entire Alesis Strata Prime kit, unboxed it just to use the module, and I tried that module. It was awful with aftermarket triggers. It was unplayable. It wouldn't pick up. It was like, I don't know. And I know that's a long time ago. They've had a lot of updates since then. If you guys have used an Alesis Strata module, whether it's the core or the Prime, and you use that with aftermarket triggers, and it's, reliable and all this other, something with that module, I know it's just like, I feel like it's like always half and half. Everyone's having problems, or they're not having problems and they love it, or they're having a lot of problems and they hate it, but they bought it. I don't know. I just don't know if I can go down that rabbit hole. But if anybody has that module with aftermarket triggers, please let me know. I might try to get one, to try it out. Anyway, so this video is long enough, huh? So this is my new drum set. If I missed something, just ask me. But I don't think I missed anything. I think I probably covered too much, to be honest. So I hope you guys got something out of this video, and I'll see you in the next one.